genuinely, this is my love letter to today's working mom.
Mhm.
I really do want to help. My
Mhm.
daughter told me that I should, and we have a
Mhm.
family motto, like I said, if you can help, you
Mhm.
should help. So this is my passion to start a PR parenting movement,
Mhm.
and I would love for you to be a part of it. Let's do it
Mhm.
together, and
Mhm.
let's have something that continues for generations to
Mhm.
make this world a better place for our children.
Welcome, mompreneurs, to the Good Enough Mompreneur podcast. I'm your host, Angela Mashuli. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I am so honored and grateful to share today's interview with you. I just cannot believe the incredible women that I get to meet and talk to because of this podcast. And I'm just blown away, and it fills my bucket so much to just be able to talk to and share the experience and the stories of the wonderful people who reach out to me to be on the podcast. And my guest today is absolutely no exception. She is amazing. And her name is Marjie Hadad. She is a global PR expert turned parenting book author. Her new book is now available. I will leave a link in the show notes. It's been very well reviewed. I have read it myself, loved it, couldn't put it down. And I think when you hear our interview, you will understand why. The name of her book is The Power of PR Parenting: How to Raise Confident, Resilient, and Successful Children Using Public Relations Strategies. So I would argue that this book is not just a parenting book. It really is a wonderful business book and a great book for women navigating the workplace because of the personal stories that Marjie shares and talks about how she handled certain situations using PR strategies. And one of the things you'll learn in this episode is that PR strategies are really universal to all professions, and I love that. A few other things that we talk about in this episode are learning how to raise confident and resilient children and why that is so important. Two, learning to identify what your superpower is, because we each have something that we uniquely do that nobody can the way that we do it. And really honoring that and believing in that. So I love that part of the conversation. And then we talk about a couple other things like working at home and having an online business, because Marjie and I have both worked remotely for a decade or more. So some people who may be new to that, either because of the pandemic or they've just made a switch to working at home because they have an online business or whatnot, can really benefit from our discussion about that. And then also really making sure that you take time for yourself. Whether you're a mom or a mom business owner or a daughter or an aunt or whoever is listening to that, I think we all are so busy in our lives, and especially moms tend to abandon ourselves first. We do everything for everyone, but we have to remember to take care of ourselves first, or we can't take care of anyone. So, before I dive into that interview, I want to invite you to please subscribe to the podcast. It's totally free wherever you listen to podcasts. You can usually find where you can follow or subscribe. So that way you won't miss another episode. You'll get a little notification when we release a new episode every Monday. And then two, it is so helpful if this content is resonating with you, if you leave us a review. On Apple Podcasts, you can scroll to the bottom wherever you're listening to the podcast episode, and you can leave stars and a written review. So that helps us so much. Both of those things are totally free, inspiration in your ears, and you won't miss an inspiring episode. So, having said all of that, without further ado, here's my interview with the lovely Marjie Hadad. Welcome, Marjie. Can't wait to dive into this conversation. I've been looking forward to it so much. So, you're a public relations expert, you're an award-winning producer, speaker, now coach, and author of the new book, The Power of PR Parenting: How to Raise Confident, Resilient, and Successful Children Using Public Relations Strategies. I can't wait to hear what you're going to teach us in this episode. Tell me about your impressive past and your background and about your experience as a working mom, because that's part of your mission to support working moms, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, that is the primary mission right now, is to help today's working moms and frankly, anybody who has kids in their lives. The book was the idea of my daughter. The topic of the book, rather, was the idea of my older daughter. I have 3 kids, 26, 23, and 18. And my older 2 have already been through the Israeli military, their mandatory service, and the youngest one goes in soon. But when my older daughter was doing her service, she was telling me about one of her friends in the Army who had just gotten married, and she wanted to have children, but she also wanted to pursue a career. And she was discussing how she was concerned that she wouldn't be able to juggle and balance it all. And my daughter looked at her and said, "What are you talking about? My mother's been doing this for 25 years. Of course you can." And she looked straight at me, literally on this couch. You see this couch here? Okay. So she was, right. She was here. She was where I am now. I was over there. Okay. And she said, "Mom, you made mistakes, but overall, I think you got it right. I think that you should write a book that will help today's mom have an easier time parenting based on your experience and expertise." Well, Angela, after I finished pulling my jaw off the floor because I was in shock. I mean, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And wow, how about that for an A on your report card?
Right.
So I thought to myself, okay, I can do that. But when I thought about it some more, because I needed to kind of think, well, what is it that I did right? It took me a couple of days to let this sink in. And it occurred to me that I had used my professional skills as a public relations executive to raise my kids. Now, I didn't know I was doing it at the time. It was just a natural function to bring the skills at home. So lesson number 1, or key message number 1, because we're all about key messages in public relations, right? So, okay. So anyone who's listening to this or watching this, here's my number 1 message for you, or a number 1 message. I say, bring your superpowers home. If your job can benefit from all those wonderful skill sets that you have that make everybody think that you're a superhero and that you're respected for and appreciated for, why are you leaving those at the office? Bring them on home. Teach your kids the same skills in a positive way. Whether they're good at it or not makes absolutely no difference. As long as they benefit from your skill set, that's what's important. And they'll take bits and pieces from it. And how do I know this? Because my children, who have all chosen different professions than public relations, are still using the same strategies, tactics, and practices that they learned through PR strategies, and PR at home. They're using them not only in their chosen professions, but they used them as they were growing up, as they navigated different challenges and choosing different paths and ways of handling things, which was incredible. So retrospectively, I understood that it had worked. Go figure. So think about it this way, folks. If it worked for me applying public relations strategies unintentionally, just
Mm-hmm.
naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how much better it's going to turn out for you doing it intentionally, you know?
Right. Yes, and that was gonna be one of my questions to you is were you intentional about this? So it's so interesting that it was just kind of natural and intuitive to you, but it makes a lot of sense if these were working for your PR clients, you know. As moms, our biggest clients are our children and our families. So I mean, it makes a lot of sense. So you
Yes,
you said
yes.
something really interesting in that your daughter brought it up that you handled all of this running a PR company and being a mom. Was there any point where you felt like you couldn't do it? Did you always just go with it?
Well, we all have moments where we go, oh, good grief, how am I going to handle that? I mean, we're all human.
Right,
But
sure.
the question is, does that last for a split second until you finish going, finishing your deep breath?
Hmm. Right,
Or does it last for weeks or months or years at a time?
right.
And in PR, when we have a situation,
Hmm.
we identify it, we
Hmm.
assess,
Hmm.
we determine how we're going to deal with it or problem solve,
Hmm.
and then we execute the crisis management strategy
Right.
with the tactics and all the rest of it and the timeline. So same difference at home.
Hmm.
Whether it doesn't really matter what it was. We had
Hmm.
little tiny things, we had enormous life or death things,
Hmm.
and everything in between. Been
Hmm.
there, seen it, done it.
Right.
So the bottom line is no matter what situation you're in,
Hmm.
deep breath. What's going on? Can I fix it? If I can't fix it myself, who can I get to help me fix it? And
Hmm.
then get out of the way so that they can fix it and assist them to fix it if they need you to assist it. And if you can rally your troops to help you out, then
Hmm.
all the better. Sound like stuff we do at work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think so often moms don't give themselves that permission. They get stuck in that place where they think they can't do it and don't realize the transferable skills that they're already doing as a parent to realize that they can do the business, they can do the career and juggle them both. It's
Of
trial
course
by
they
fire all the
can.
time.
I know, but here's the thing. Of course you can. Moms
Yeah,
are superheroes.
they
I'm telling
are.
you, everybody has their cape. We all
Right.
leap tall buildings in a single bound, and sometimes we even do it in multiple languages.
Right.
So, where you come from, your community, wherever you
Hmm.
are in the world, you know, we're all kind of different, but we're all kind
Hmm.
of the same, you
Hmm.
know? And we all ask ourselves the same question: how on earth are we going to handle that? And
Hmm.
we look at it and go, holy moly, what am I going to do? So
Right.
again, assess and then problem solve. Now, in the book, which there are 10 chapters, Angela.
Hmm.
Now, us go back to we have my daughter, then we
Hmm.
figured out what's going on. So I'm walking
Hmm.
you through like the evolution of this thing.
Hmm.
And I spoke to a series of moms
Hmm.
because look, you can start writing a book and just decide to share whatever you want to share.
Hmm.
But I wanted to actually be practical from the start of it.
Hmm.
So I said, moms
Hmm.
of varying age children, what do you
Hmm.
want to know?
Hmm.
And they answered. And ultimately, the chapters are built on the universal questions that they had asked. So this applies to whoever you are. If you're
Hmm.
connected with children,
Hmm.
then there is an approach in here that should be useful to you. And each chapter talks about various personal stories and professional stories, how I
Hmm.
handled it, the
Hmm.
successes and
Hmm.
my failures or hiccups.
hmm
Look, I'm
hmm
not the perfect mom, never said I was.
Nobody
you know,
is.
nobody is. Well, we're human. How about that?
Right?
You know, and But the point is that I wanted you to
Mm-hmm.
benefit from my hindsight. So
Mm-hmm.
mirror the successes, skip the stuff I didn't do so well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I'm making new mistakes and not the same
Mm-hmm.
mistakes.
Right.
And then each chapter also has a set of exercises
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm going to show you how I did it. And then I'm going to show you how you can do the same thing in your own world.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, everything's universal
Mm-hmm.
until it gets to where you need to apply it. And that's where the answers might be different depending on what works or doesn't work in your own community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And remember, you're in control. Now, at the end of each chapter, Angela, there is a QR code.
Mm-hmm.
And that QR code leads to a free workbook.
Mm.
And it is free, my friends, because I wanted you to have an action plan at
Mm-hmm.
the end of your experience reading
Mm-hmm.
this books. So read, learn, but then if you'd like to do and print it out, and you have a real tangible thing in your hand to exercise. So my gift from this older mom to y'all, it's my present to you. And then, frankly speaking, if you want to do a little deeper dive or you
Mm-hmm.
need a little extra help,
Mm-hmm.
we have a motto in our family: if you can help, you should help. So
Mm-hmm.
I am, in addition to speaking, I'm
Mm-hmm.
also coaching now.
Mm-hmm.
And look, this is my idea of paying it forward. And I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love helping today's moms. We have such a good time. Like we're having a good time now because for
Yes.
me, humor is everything. Okay. You got to
Mm-hmm.
keep your sense of
Mm.
humor.
You do.
Very important.
Yes. Yes.
Very important. And we'll have a great time and we'll figure things out. And what's kind of fun is we'll do it together.
Mm-hmm.
You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing. Well,
Right.
sometimes moms get into these ruckuses and they just think that they're alone and they don't know what they're going to do. And it just gets overwhelming. So take
Yes.
a deep breath, read the
Mm-hmm.
chapter, and
Mm-hmm.
then get in touch and let's see what we can do.
Right. So, why do you think the world needed this book at this time? Like, what gap is this book filling in the world for the younger generation of working moms?
There are so many moving parts today,
Yeah,
more so than in the old days.
right.
And one of the things that is a parallel with the public relations world is
Mm-hmm.
that there are always moving parts in the public relations world too. There's so many balls in the air. I mean, we're juggling 10, 20 rings, circus rings. It's crazy on any given day.
Right.
And it worked for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try to help others to have it work for them in
Mm-hmm.
some way, shape, or form. So why now? Because things are really perplexing.
Right.
And sometimes things are not obvious. And we
Mm-hmm.
need a new way of thinking
Mm-hmm.
and a new approach that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't just cover one age group or one
Mm-hmm.
particular subject. Because
Right.
let's face it, we've got multiple age kids out there. There's
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of subjects. It's not just related to bullying
Mm-hmm.
or crisis management or
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem. There's all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of topics out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I was speaking with the moms, I said, all right, what else do you want to know? What else do you want to know? What else do you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Let's cover it. Let's really
Mm-hmm.
deep dive
Mm-hmm.
so that when you're finished with this book,
Mm-hmm.
you have a better grip on things than you did before you read the book.
Right. I love
And
that.
I'll tell you something else, Angela. If you look at the cover of the book, have you seen the cover of the
I
book?
have seen the cover, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why there's a blue sky there. You want to take a guess
Oh,
why?
why?
There's thought behind that.
Well, what is the purpose for that?
I wanted a cover. I wanted artwork that would do a couple things. One, I wanted to speak with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to speak to everyone, no matter where you are in the world. The one thing we do is we look up and we all see the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a universal approach. The
Mm.
other thing is I wanted you to look at it and feel calm
Mm-hmm.
and peace, not fire
Mm-hmm.
engine, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, the sky is falling, Chicken Little
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted you to be able to look at this book and say, you know what, I might find some answers, a new approach, a new way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at the sky, the possibilities are infinite,
Mm-hmm.
which is true. So
Mm-hmm.
PR parenting, the possibilities are infinite. Now, think
Mm-hmm.
about it. If moms today, now I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to you out there, whoever's listening. If you're the mom today,
Listen up,
so
moms.
listen up. If you actually exercise these PR practices, which by the way are
Mm-hmm.
probably common denominators in your own profession,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because PR is a common denominator,
Right.
communication skills, customer service, all sorts of stuff.
Crisis
It's all
management.
crisis management, crisis management. Yeah, it's all, and if not, then you'll
Mm-hmm.
learn something completely new. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but also exercise your own superpowers because there's exercises that relate to that as well.
Mm.
And if you can teach your kids
Mm-hmm.
and help them to build their self-esteem, their resilience, their self-confidence, and experience some level of success.
Mm-hmm.
What we learn as kids, we take with us and we hold it with us.
Oh,
we know
absolutely.
it because we remember what our parents and our grandparents said to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
aunts and uncles and teachers. Oh, good grief, the teachers. God love them, the teachers. Okay.
The good ones.
Good and bad. Yeah, the good ones. Okay. I also
Uh-huh.
held on to some of the stuff that the bad advice I got.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can instill self-esteem and self-love and confidence and make sure that they experience some level of success,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to hold on to that and teach it to their kids and so on and so forth.
Right.
So hopefully 100 years from now, 200 years from now, PR parenting will be a word in the dictionary, something that people do know. And think about how lovely it would be if people thought before they spoke,
Oh,
chose
right.
their words, and their tone and the delivery, like we do in public relations for a media interview. We're very thoughtful about that because we want people to receive the information the way we intend them to receive it. Right? The way we want them to receive it. Can you imagine what a nicer world it would be live in? How much more respectful it would be?
Right.
I mean, that's the goal. It's to make the world a better place and to be raising kids who contribute positively to society with their heads held high to a point where they feel so confident with what they're bringing to the table that when somebody shows up who's different from them, instead of saying, holy moly, they go, well, isn't that great?
Right.
I'd like to learn about you too. And I'd also like to share from my point of view.
Right.
How cool is that?
Absolutely. So could you speak for a minute how your book addresses some of those common issues that we're dealing with as parents, regarding self-esteem, regarding, their confidence and helping guide them and move them through such a difficult time in this world? I mean, my daughters had to deal with trying to maneuver friendships in schools during the pandemic, and they've both had to deal with that difficult time, but then, changing gears and going back to almost like completely forgetting about that time. And I think the adults are able to kind of move on, but the kids are still going, wait a minute, hold on. We were just isolated a minute ago, and now you just want me to shift and wait, whoa, what? So things are very complex. We went through a very difficult time, and I think I certainly feel the need to be more present for my children because of that and give them special guidance where we're at right now. So what are some of the ways that your book can help parents in that way?
Well, there are a couple of different ways. Let's get into a couple specifics that might be useful. And by the way, I went through absolutely the same thing with my 18-year-old daughter. currently 18-year-old. She's a senior in high school right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the pandemic, and the whole online
Mm-hmm.
classes and
Mm-hmm.
what's going on and what's not going on, et
Right.
cetera, pretty crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it impacted our home just like it impacted everybody else's home. And my son is in university, and
Mm-hmm.
he, usually with university, you're in class, there's a social life, it's really cool, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quarantined at home.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was impacted by it, except for me, frankly, because I've been on Zoom for 20 years. So for
Me
me, it was like,
too.
I'm just waiting for y'all to catch up and stop,
We were early
finish that.
adopters.
We were early adopters. So for me, it was like, I work out of my house,
Mm-hmm.
and, I've been doing it for 23 years now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And before that, I worked in a huge agency.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was used to it, and I
Mm-hmm.
had my space, and all of a sudden everybody came home and wouldn't leave.
I know, right?
So
Yes.
from a working mom's perspective, it was like I had my quiet area, I had my
Mm-hmm.
space, and then
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. So
Yep.
so look, here's the thing. It all comes down to preparation.
Mm.
In public relations, we prepare our clients, and just about in every profession, you have some level of preparation.
Mm-hmm.
You executive think, what does the end product look like? More
Mm-hmm.
or less.
Mm-hmm.
And then how are we going to get there? And you
Mm-hmm.
reverse engineer it. And
Mm-hmm.
then you think, well, what's the target market? Who are we trying to share our messages with?
Mm-hmm.
And what are those messages that we want to share them with?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the word choice? What's the tone? What's the
Mm-hmm.
delivery?
Mm-hmm.
And then another step would be the who, what, where, when, why, and how of it all
Mm-hmm.
as you're prepping as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take these public relation techniques, let's call them,
Mm-hmm.
and I would apply them at home. Now, one of the really important things when we're prepping a client is positive reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than ever telling a client what they're doing wrong, I tell them
Mm-hmm.
what they want to do. I would tell them what I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also point out what they are doing right. So after we would do a review, after we do a run through of something, I'd say, okay, let me tell you what you're doing right. And let me tell you how I want you to do some other stuff. I never actually get into what they were doing wrong.
Wow. Okay.
Never even comes up. So there's
Mm-hmm.
not one moment where they feel bad, because listen, at the end of a dry run through, everybody feels a little bit anxious to hear
Mm-hmm.
the feedback. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they're going to
Give it
tell
to
me I'm
me.
terrible again. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And for me, the negativity never comes.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they give me pushback. Then I said, what are you giving me pushback for? Just listen to me. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just behave yourself and do what I tell you to
Mm-hmm.
do. So ultimately, when I'm with my kids, I try to instill a level of self-esteem
Mm-hmm.
so that if they're having a bad day
Mm-hmm.
or they had a less than favorable interaction
Mm-hmm.
with a peer,
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. We're not going to let somebody else control whether we're having a good day or not. We're going to take the control and decide how we're going to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's look for people who bring the sunshine. They don't bring the sunshine, be respectful, be kind, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of distance.
Mm-hmm.
Surround yourself with people who lift you up.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who doesn't, there's a really special thing in the book, and I don't want to give everything away. There's a very special technique. When you read this, you guys are going to totally crack up. I still do this until this day.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do. No, I can't even plug this. You have to read the book. But there's this thing that my
Uh-huh.
sister and I like. I'll tell you this: when you see in the book there's a 2-for-1 sale at the pharmacy, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Okay.
But this applies to just about any time that there's
Mm-hmm.
negativity
Mm-hmm.
or loud noise or
Mm-hmm.
something that you just don't want to like you know that you need to be tuned into the actual message,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want to be tuned to anything else around it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a technique for this
Hmm.
that I used at work, when
Mm-hmm.
I worked in an office, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm at home and the
Mm-hmm.
kids might be having a fabulous time. And who wants to
Mm-hmm.
interrupt them when they're singing and dancing and laughing and having fun? But darn
Mm-hmm.
it, I've got a deadline too at the same
Right.
time, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I would use this technique,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
I would say to myself, you know what? It's break time.
Mm-hmm.
If the kids are having such a good time and they're making all this noise, instead of competing, just go and have a good time and use this as an opportunity for wonderful bonding time and to make a good memory, and grab the
Mm-hmm.
video camera and have some fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know,
I think, your comment kind of speaks to, I think I've read that hearing one negative thing can take 20 positive things to kind of erase. And it really sticks with us in as adults, but we don't think about that impact on children. For some reason, we are disconnected. And if anything, they're more sensitive to it. But
oh, they hold
we,
on to they hold on to all of it. They hold on
right,
to all of it. Now,
absolutely.
one of the standard things that we do here, and this is another good tip for
Mm-hmm.
everybody,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're an adult or whether you're interacting with your child or what have you, but a
Mm-hmm.
hug.
Mm-hmm.
It is scientifically proven that 20-second hug activates some sort of chemical that makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So since they were little, I've
Mm-hmm.
been hugging, 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 hugging
Yeah.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they would say, to a point where they'd say, Mommy, can I have a hug? And no matter what I was doing, I don't care
Yes.
what I was doing, I
Mm-hmm.
would drop whatever it was and I would give them
Mm-hmm.
a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my children are in their 20s now.
Mm-hmm.
We still ask each other for hugs, or we still give
Yeah.
hugs.
Yeah, absolutely. We're that way too.
It it takes any bad feeling away,
Mm-hmm.
and it just pours in the positive energy
It does.
and love and self-esteem
Mm-hmm.
and confidence. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
ready to face the world again, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah. So those are all things that I definitely see the power of. My youngest, she'll just ask me for a hug randomly. Like, I need a hug. Like, okay,
Yeah.
embrace that. But I think what might be different about you and I is that we kind of come to parenthood with a certain self-confidence, with a certain belief in leadership. And not all parents are that way, especially see moms who don't have the confidence to start their business and kind of don't realize that they can control the message in their family. So I love how your book teaches parents to control the message, but I would love to talk about how your book empowers moms to kind of recognize their superpower and set the tone and find what works for them. I love that.
So let's keep in mind one very important thing. I didn't start off being 58 years old and owning a company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Took a while to
Mm-hmm.
get here. And when I had my first child, I was an employee working
Mm-hmm.
for a big agency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know anything
Mm-hmm. Right.
about parenthood. And I had
Mm-hmm.
to do it mostly on my own because I live abroad.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's clear across the world, as is my father,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So what do we do?
Right.
We have to source from within.
Mm-hmm.
And what was natural to me was through my PR and communication skills. Remember, I
Mm-hmm.
started off in television. I worked as an agent in the modeling industry. I got into PR, working as the media liaison for the Israeli government in New England. And then I made my way over to Israel in January of 95, working in policy planning and as a speechwriter. And I wrote the background papers for the bilats of the Oslo Accords for the government. And then I got back into commercial PR. And that's when I started to have my kids, when I got back into commercial PR. And I say to the moms out there who aren't so sure of themselves, I promise you, you have a superpower.
Mm.
Maybe you like to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you like to bake. Maybe music is your thing. I met a mother the other day who sings for a living.
Mm.
Maybe you are a good artist, which, by the way, I'm a terrible artist. My kids can all draw. I don't know where it comes from because if my life depended on it. I failed kindergarten art. So maybe it's gymnastics. Maybe it's some sort of athletic sport. I don't know. Maybe it's drama. Whatever. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're a welder. Everybody's got their thing. And it really doesn't matter what it is. But whatever it is that is your superpower, there are skills required that are special and unique, and you need to understand just how really cool that is. You need to recognize it as special and amazing. Sometimes we look at ourselves and go, oh, what's the big deal? Well, guess what? It is a big deal. And you are freaking amazing. Can I say freaking on a podcast?
Yes, you can. You can. And that is why I love sharing stories like women like yourself, because you're owning it. You didn't ask for anybody's permission. You're not a psychologist. You're not, which I keep wanting to call you Dr. Hadad. Because the wisdom, the experience that is in what you're sharing is at that level. But I think that there are people who would discount their own. I did it for a long time on my own worth and my own value. But that is what's so important, because you're doing that. You're showing people that. And that is what's so important. In addition to your book, is just you didn't need anybody's permission to say, here is what worked for me, and here's what today's moms want to know, and here's how you can approach it. I mean, that in itself gives people permission to embrace their own superpower, I think.
Thank you. And you said something important. I am not a psychologist, nor do I claim to be. That's somebody else's department. I'm also not a parenting expert, nor do I claim to be. Again, that's somebody else's department. I'm a public relations expert, and I used my professional skills to raise my kids. I used them to teach them to my kids as much as I possibly could. And it worked out for me. And I wrote the book hoping to show a new way of thinking. It's a brand new way of thinking. Nobody's put public relations and parenting together, and yet it works. My family's the case study. My children, by the way, did approve the stories in the book. Okay. They had to, right? And my son and my older daughter both wrote the foreword. So, which, by the way, I had nothing to do with. I was completely banished from that part of the process. It was the publisher's idea, and he said, "Stay out of it." I said, "All right," because I want to edit. That's what I do. I want to edit, right? And by the way, in the book, I talk about how to edit your children's work and how you can start in a positive way, and how you can start by using traditions to inspire writing practice and do it in a fun way where they're going to, at the end of the whole process, they're going to want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, which is kind of fun. So we
I
go
love
through
that.
really heavy stuff, but we go through
Mm-hmm.
really light things. Like, one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite stories, honestly, is how to encourage your kids to get rid of their pacifier without, drama free. I love this story,
Where were
and
you
I
in my life
and I
6 years
swear to you,
ago?
3 kids, and they all did it, and it was
Yeah.
all successful. So yeah, this one's foolproof, friends.
Oh, I love it. Yet another reason to get the book. Um, so what are some of the strategies to that help moms get more time back for themselves in addition to the
Um,
empowerment? Because we abandon ourselves, we serve everybody so much and forget about ourselves, and that's so important at a complex time, and especially if you're running your
right.
business. What are your tips on that?
Were there many tips on that? You got a few hours.
Yeah.
I think it's from 500 feet above kind of an
Mm,
answer, because in the
mm,
book I get into lots of different ways to do this.
mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is you really do need to look after yourself.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you one. I'll give you one of mine.
Uh-huh.
Look, I am not a morning person.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes, I did the overnights. Yes, I did the bottles. I was a morning person only when the kids were little because I had to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not my. Maybe you are, and if you're a morning
No.
person, my hat is off to you.
My kids made me a morning person.
There you go. You know. So in the morning, what I would do is I would sleep that extra 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I would pay the glamour bill for it. I wouldn't look as chic as I possibly could.
Right.
Maybe actually, once I started working from my house,
Mm-hmm.
then I completely paid the glamour bill to a point where other parents were asking me if I worked for a living because I really like rolled out of bed with my sweatpants on. I think I pulled my hair back in a ponytail, and I wouldn't pull my act together till after I came home,
Mm-hmm.
because that was my version of self-care. I
Mm.
needed to sleep the extra 10 minutes. That's just, man, keep me up to 2 o'clock in the morning, but do not bother me before 7.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Right.
So that was an example of self-care. And it
Mm-hmm.
only took that extra 5 minutes. And I felt like I was owning my own, thing. That
Mm-hmm.
was like my rebellion. Anybody who bothered me before 7, I ignored.
Right. I love that because we often tend to overcomplicate what little things can really kind of fill our bucket just at least enough to serve other people in a way. I mean, so you have to find that out for what it is for you. I'm not somebody who likes people who I don't know touching me at like a spa day. And I really went through this phase of like kind of thinking that I needed to do what was popular for like self-care, like friends night out and spa days. That I have very sensitive skin, so the thought of somebody like massaging my face, I'm like, what? How? This is torture.
Right. Go away. Go
Right.
away. Leave me alone.
So I think other moms do that as well. They kind of incorporate what is the popular sense of what you should be doing instead of listening to themselves and going, okay, this is what I need and this is what feels good for me.
Mhm.
And it can be as simple as a few minutes more sleep, negotiate that.
Yes. A few minutes more sleep, a couple extra minutes in the hot shower,
Right.
maybe play my song in the
Mm-hmm.
living room instead of,
Yeah.
somebody else's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a walk,
Mm-hmm.
instead
Mm-hmm.
of, maybe you take the dog for the walk,
Mm-hmm.
and have a little
Right.
bit of time to get into your own head, or
Mm-hmm.
just my favorite thing is not thinking about anything,
Right. That's a
you know,
luxury, right?
just absolutely listening to the nature, and
Mm-hmm.
letting my mind rest. Because
Mm-hmm.
look, one thing that we all have in common is our brains are a very noisy, busy place
Mm-hmm.
between work, kids, taking care of the house, being
Mm-hmm.
a good partner,
Mm-hmm.
in one way, shape, or form, making sure that there's food in the house,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
being a good professional,
Mm-hmm.
advancing your career. And that's just the big picture of it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
every category I just meant, you drill down and there are probably 100 million different details.
Right.
It is a very noisy place in all of
Mm.
our brains. So, you know, I'm in medical public relations. So that's my specialty.
Mm.
So when I'm editing documents, it's usually something scientific or med tech or,
Mm-hmm.
cell therapy or something like that. So at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, I really, really want to just chill and either read something light
Mm-hmm.
or watch my favorite, binge TV at the time. So when I take a walk, I really just want to listen to the birds,
Mm.
because
Mm-hmm.
we have nature outside near
Mm-hmm.
our house. So I
Mm-hmm.
can just go and listen to the nature,
Mm-hmm.
breathe in some fresh air, stretch, maybe
Mm-hmm.
sing my tunes and
Mm-hmm.
watch the neighbors look at me like I'm going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And, who cares? If
Right.
this is my time. And then I can come back to all the craziness when I return.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I know we're running a little short on time and I want to respect your time, but I have a couple more questions I wanted to ask you. So what are some of your tips for being working at home as an online business owner?
Mm.
Because so many of the mompreneurs I talk with, and myself included, we work at home and that is an additional challenge. So what is, some of your insight on how we can do that better?
So I love working from home.
I do too.
Oh,
You could have
it's
dragged
it's
me
my
back into an office.
oh my gosh. Think about all the extra time you have not needing to commute to the office or commuting
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
That if there's something that needs to be taken care of in the next room because the kids are getting into it, it's
Mm-hmm.
a 10-second thing. You just
Mm-hmm.
go,
Right.
deal with it and then go back. And we talk about how to deal with it, by the way, in the all the stuff that I'm talking about in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like daily interaction and craziness and dealing with it
Mm-hmm.
and kids going after, it's all addressed in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, really, this is take a page from my playbook, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is literally been there,
Mm-hmm.
seen it, done it. It is
Mm-hmm.
documented for you. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go through all the same crap I did because I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
giving you a sneak preview, and you
Right.
know. So I think that working from home, ultimately, it's about juggling things. Now, if you're at the
Mm-hmm.
office and
Mm-hmm.
your partner or your colleague or your boss says, "I need you to do these 10 things, and here's the deadline,"
Mm-hmm.
you figure out a way to juggle it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why is how many different?
Right.
Really? Why is how many
Mm-hmm.
different? If you know on your schedule that day, okay, that you
Mm-hmm.
have to complete the following things,
Mm-hmm.
and you go, okay, you know what? I take a break every 20 minutes, by the way. I
Mm-hmm.
get up. I do not, every 20 minutes, I get up and I either go to the bathroom, I get
Mm-hmm.
something to drink, maybe I'll do the
Mm-hmm.
dishes, maybe I'll throw
Mm-hmm.
some laundry in.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 or 3 minutes
Mm-hmm.
of doing something else
Mm-hmm.
resets my brain and gives me an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to think about what I was just working on. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes your brain needs a little idle time
Mm-hmm.
to kind of self edit and think through what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really powerful time because if you stay there longer after that 20 minutes or so, half an hour or so, for some
Mm-hmm.
people, it's not going to look the same as if you took a break, gave your mind a moment or two to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to get a download of some inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go back and be even more productive with your job.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, you also happen to get the laundry moved forward, and there's no longer all the dishes, maybe some still, but the dishes are always there. So what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
And, things are progressing in all different directions in your house. So it's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of juggling, just like you would do at work. Just don't let yourself get overwhelmed. There's really no reason. And by the
Mm-hmm.
way, if certain things don't get done, just like at the job,
Mm-hmm.
if you're still under deadline,
Mm-hmm.
So what?
Mm-hmm.
There's always laundry, there's always dishes, there's
Mm-hmm.
always, certain things that are constants. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't get to it all that day, so what?
Right. Yeah, and I find it so interesting. I talk to moms who have this barrier where they kind of grew up. My mom actually worked at home very early on. She was a medical transcriptionist, so she would just get tapes and work at home. So I saw her working at home, so I never questioned it. But I talk to moms a lot who have this anxiety about combining work with home, and they just feel like they don't go together, which is really interesting to me. Do you set boundaries, and how do you navigate like them being together?
You're bringing this conversation 100% full circle from the
Mm.
top.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean bring them together? I say don't separate. The
Absolutely.
opposite. I say adjust the mindset, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Adjust the mindset. Not only
Right.
do you bring your skills home, but you actually do it from home if you're working
Mm-hmm.
out of your house, which is what you're asking me about.
Right.
What's the difference for you? You can do your job. Certain people can do their jobs from anywhere. Now, if you're working in an ice cream store, obviously you
Mm-hmm.
need to be in the ice cream store.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a service provider,
Mm-hmm.
okay, then you might be doing your job from home. Or if you're an
Mm-hmm.
online contributor of some sort with an online business, you
Right.
can do it from home.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do it from wherever you happen to be in the world if you don't mind
Mm-hmm.
funny time zones. Okay.
Right.
So seriously, I mean, I live in
Mm-hmm.
Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the United States, correct?
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yalla, which means
I
let's go.
Right.
Just
Exactly. And I think,
it's not a how do you remedy this? It's a
mhm,
change the mindset.
right. Right. And, luckily, the pandemic, if you have to find a silver lining, I think that is one of them that kind of showed us that we can have some flexibility in how we do things. And we all have families and we have children. We don't need to apologize for, children interrupting the camera or the call or whatnot, because I remember before the pandemic, like, nobody needed to know I even had children. Like, don't speak, don't breathe, like, don't, and now it's like, well, yeah, everybody knows I have kids. And so I love that part.
Yeah, this is also in the book, but I talk about when I would get calls and I would be driving carpool and I have like
Mm-hmm.
six kids in the car. We had one of those big, SUV things. And I'd say, okay, glad to hear from you. Just know that there's six kids in the call. If
Mm-hmm.
this is top secret,
Yep.
maybe call me back later. And then everybody in the car is going, Mommy's on the call. Mommy's on the call. We have to be quiet. Or on the flip side, if my
Mm-hmm.
kids would come into the office during a Zoom, and
Mm-hmm.
I have three kids, different ages, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been working from home doing video calls for decades now.
Right.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you know that's why I'm saying it's not such a big deal. And they would know they're not supposed to bother me, but if they come
Mm-hmm.
in, then I would be like, well, what's wrong? Something's up.
Right.
So I'd say, come here, say hello to everybody. And everybody would go, hi.
Hey.
And
Mm-hmm.
then they would involve them in the
Mm-hmm.
conversation
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would be like, yeah, I think I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And they would take off,
Don't
that,
interrupt mom.
or I would be like, is this really important?
Mm-hmm.
Has
Mm.
the roof collapsed? What's going on? And depending on their answer, I said, can we talk about this later? And they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, just give me a quick hug. Okay, okay, bye-bye. You know.
Right.
So the embrace it all.
Right. Mm. Yeah.
Really, just embrace every opportunity. Your children are a
Mm-hmm.
gift. Your superpowers are a
Mm-hmm.
gift. Remember, those are your cornerstones. This is your legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pay it forward to the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Just one thing, when things get crazy, just stop,
Mm-hmm.
take a moment and look all around you. And like when
Mm-hmm.
you have a mess in your house, you go, what corner to start from? It's the same thing,
Yes.
you
Yes,
know?
absolutely. if you had one takeaway, I know that you mentioned one at the beginning of the episode. What would you want mompreneurs to walk away with listening to this episode?
I want you to know that you're special.
Mm-hmm.
And I know lots of people say stuff like that, and it sounds like
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of smoke. But I'm telling you something. There's whatever it is, there's something about you that only
Mm-hmm.
you were really good at it,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is, you do it in a different way than everybody else.
Right.
I want you to take away from this that you can get through anything if you keep your focus and your
Mm-hmm.
sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Period.
Yeah. They're really, I mean, that's practical advice for anyone, but especially a mom and a mom business owner. So, thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom and your experience. And I'm so glad that you took your daughter's advice to write this book. I can't wait to, dive into it and learn all the things, because as a parent, I'm always trying to be better, and I think it's not something you arrive at. It's your children are constantly aging and bringing new crises to the to the table, and so you're always having to recall on some kind of playbook. But
I'm still PR parenting, Angela. It continues until this
right,
day.
right, even
Yes.
after
I
they're
just
18, for
I
sure.
I just PR parented yesterday as an aunt
Oh,
with
I
my
love that.
nieces. My nieces got into it. So
Uh-huh.
I gave a positive key message instead of being negative about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just got into it and I said, look, um, I told her what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than get in on her on what she shouldn't do, I
Mm-hmm.
got in on her what I wanted her to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
told her, whatever it is, I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what it is, fix
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just fix it. And
Right.
this is a like a 14-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
And you know what
And
she did?
what did
You know
she
what she
do?
did?
What did she do?
She said, she looked at me and she said, okay. And then I saw her walk out to her sister.
Uh-huh.
And then I saw the mother come around to see what was going on. I said,
Mm-hmm.
stay out of it, let
Mm-hmm.
them work it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing you know, they were sitting on the couch together playing again.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Yeah.
easy. One key
Great.
message with the right
Mm-hmm.
tone of voice and a
Mm-hmm.
positive, this
Mm-hmm.
is what I want you to do, not what I don't want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Take
Well,
care of it.
you know what that is, and I think we're all kind of craving that. It's leadership. It is, taking a position and being intentional about it. And I think we're all craving that, especially at a time where we kind of have fatigue, decision fatigue, and we're constantly thinking about lots of things. So I love that, because we need to take ownership and empower ourselves to be that leader in our family. So thank you
Well,
for.
you can, it's my pleasure. You can
Yeah.
join the PR parenting community.
Yeah,
You're
I was
invited
gonna
to,
ask how people
Angela.
could. Yes, absolutely. I love to hear about, connect with other moms and hear about their experiences. So I definitely look forward to doing that. But I was gonna ask you, how can we connect with you and continue in the conversation and be part of what you're doing next?
Well, first of all, I would love to connect with you and all of your listeners.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a party, ladies. And I'm all about this. Let's parent
Mm-hmm.
together, but let's have
Mm-hmm.
a good time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be fun,
Mm-hmm.
and joyful
Mm-hmm.
and full of love. And it
Mm-hmm.
absolutely can be, even at the most stressful times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's www dot PRFOR period life. PR4, you spell out the four,
Mm-hmm.
period life. That
Mm-hmm.
and there's a little thing where you can join the community, and I share tips and
Mm-hmm.
stories
Mm-hmm.
and real things that will apply to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
because again, all the concepts are universal. The
Mm-hmm.
question is how we handle it. So the tips
Mm-hmm.
continue in addition to the book.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can find me on Instagram at
Mm-hmm.
Marjie Hadad,
Mm-hmm.
and on Facebook and on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, whatever
Mm-hmm.
your preferred social media channel is these days. I also have a YouTube page where you can see me chit chat
Nice.
and share other wise words of wisdom,
Uh-huh. I
and
love that.
yeah, so it's all out there and it's all for you. And really, it's genuinely, this is my love letter to today's working mom.
Mm-hmm.
I really do want to help. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter told me that I should, and we have a
Mm-hmm.
family motto, like I said, if you can help, you
Mm-hmm.
should help. So this is my passion, to start a PR parenting movement,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love for you to be a part of it. Let's do it
Mm-hmm.
together, and
Mm-hmm.
let's have something that continues for generations
Mm-hmm.
to make this world a better place for our children.
I love that. And parenting can seem so isolating and alone. And we went through this terrible time where we were isolated, and we have enough content. What we need is connection. And I love that you're bringing moms together in a new way that we haven't always been getting parenting right. So I think that we need new leadership in that regard, and someone to listen to. So I'm glad that you've taken that role, and I think we have a lot to learn from you and from each other, and you've created a place to do that. So that's wonderful. I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your experience in your book.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Angela. And I'm really, really happy to know you and to know all of your community. Let's go do it, ladies.
All right. Thank you so much, Marjie.
Shalom.
Thank you again to Marjie Hadad for spending time with me to share this conversation and for writing such an amazing book that is so needed. And I will leave a link in the show notes below and how you can connect with Marjie and be in her space. And I think we all just have something to benefit from that. So thank you, Marjie. And then if anybody would like to connect with me, you can reach out to me on mombusinesscoach.com. I'm on Instagram at angela.mashuli, or you can get a link from my website. And yeah, if you love this interview, please leave us a review. Please follow. Please share this episode with a parent, somebody who is involved with children who need a way to handle all of the crises that we consistently have to deal with. And I know that they would love this book and find it helpful. So thank you so much, Mama. I hope you have the most fabulous week. And I can't wait to talk to you again next week, if I can talk. I've talked so much this week, I can't do it anymore. Um, Thank you. Thank you so much. I have been getting amazing messages and amazing requests to be on the show, to just share story after story, and I can't wait for all of them and to bring them to you. So be sure to subscribe, be sure to review us, be sure to share it. Because I know so many people are benefiting from the episode. So until next time, I'm your host, Angela Mashuli, with a Good Enough Mompreneur podcast. Talk to you next week.